and thanks for joining us today on Playing the Field. I'm Maria Serrao, and yes, we are finally back here at Dodger Stadium. The Major League Baseball season is underway, and we're so excited to bring you back. There will be 60 games in total. They played the first one last night, beating the Giants 8-1. Now, so much to get to on the show today, but we want to take you behind the scenes a little bit. Normally we'd be in a press box or actually on the field or even in a locker room, but with COVID-19 this year, we won't be doing that. We're actually right now on the Loge level. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Loge level because these are some of the best seats in Dodger Stadium, and this is where many fans would be sitting. And strangely enough, the Dodgers have come up with an alternate way that you can be here in the stadium. They've got big cardboard cutouts of actual fans. That's right. For $299, you can send your picture in and you can be right here in Dodger Stadium. Now, all the money going to the Dodgers Dream Foundation, and we actually have a very cool story for you on the Dream Foundation a little bit later in the show. Again, so much to get to, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
So I think the first part is that, there's a lot of excitement, amongst the players. And, I think if you look at the waves and how we're kind of staggering the working groups to kind of adhere to the social distancing protocols, there's a lot more focused work potentially that we can get done to prepare for the season. And I think as far as strategy, obviously the designated hitter changes things as far as another bat. The expanded roster to start the season with 30 players certainly helps the depth. But outside of that, with respect to the 60-game schedule, I don't want to put too much importance as far as adding angst or stress or pressure because it is a short season. I just believe that we have to play a certain brand of baseball and it'll take care of itself.
And it's opening night for the Los Angeles Angels. They're up in Oakland taking on the A's. Now, we had a chance to talk to some of the players and the new skipper, Joe Madden, this week. So let's check it out.
What we're doing right now is we're trying to address those concerns. Last night I had my team meeting via Zoom, 7 p.m. We had over 100 people on the call to try to talk about everything openly and make sure that everybody had all the facts and everybody can make an informed decision, and was just very upfront, honest as he could possibly be, transparent. And we went through the whole process last night. We're continuing to do that with the training staff, our medical staff. We're here to answer all their questions. We want to make sure that they make an informed decision. And that's it. There's no bias involved. There's nobody trying to influence anybody's decision. It's these are grown men. They have to speak to their own truth, how they feel about things. So right now we're just trying to give them as much as we possibly can and let them decide. So there is trepidation. Of course there is, among a lot of people, both in the industry and not. And so we want to, like I said, we're going to be very honest. I will say this, though, the protocol in place has really been well thought out. I've been very impressed with the layers, the different layers involved. And my goodness, they had to sit down for a while and figure all this out. It's going to take us a bit to get through the uncomfortable, inconvenient nature of the day and make it become more normal. But it's pretty impressive how MLB kind of put this all together.
And Angel outfielder Mike Trout, who was very candid with us a couple of weeks ago, telling us about his fears of the coronavirus playing baseball. His wife Jessica is going to have a baby pretty much any day, and he wanted to be very careful to wear a mask and follow all of the protocols, but he's kind of settling in a little bit and excited to be a new dad. Here is what Mike Trout had to say just the other day.
Sports is really big for the country right now. But we're risking, our families and, risking our lives to go out here and play for everyone. My mindset is to play. I want to play. It's just a tough situation. I got to play it by ear. You never know what could happen tomorrow or the next day. There's an outbreak or just a lot of questions I don't know the answers to. But obviously sports and a lot of fans out there, they want to see sports back. I think obviously we want to play, but you got to make it as safe as possible. And Yeah, we're doing a great job right now with the testing and everything. Just hopefully, these next couple weeks are going to be big for everybody.
And to bring you a little behind the scenes, Daniel is bringing you down the Loge level. I'm sure many of the fans, you've been here before. This is where you sit for some great seats here to watch Dodger games. But this is going to be our new home this season for 60 games so that we can bring you all of the great Dodger stories and information. Now, all of the interviews are done by Zoom, so don't worry, you're going to hear from the players during the game. But yes, this is our new home right here in Dodger Stadium.
It's exciting. I think there's a lot of energy and excitement that we're showing back up at the stadium and getting back on the field and have some form of a season to look forward to. So guys are sitting at home for 3 months now, wondering if this was even going to happen or if it was possible. And I think guys are just elated to be here and get going.
And in our Spotlight segment, I sat down with Kourtney Turner, who is the wife of Dodgers third baseman Justin Turner. Now, Courtney started her own podcast called Holding Court, and she's become very involved in the Los Angeles community. So here is part one of my interview with Kourtney Turner. Joining me now is Kourtney Turner, who has been a huge success with her podcast, Holding Court. Kourtney, you were also just named as one of the ambassadors to the LA Marathon. I'm so excited for you to be with us today. Thanks for jumping on here.
Of course. Thank you. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you again, too. I want to kind of jump into your podcast first because you started this, a few months ago, and I want to know just kind of what your thought process was and how it came to be.
Yeah, so I kind of always had it in the back of my mind that it was something that I wanted to do, but I think if you're in the mindset of, okay, I'll start something when I have the time, you're really never going to get to it. So it was kind of, I guess, a perfect storm. Justin had got me a podcast starter kit for Valentine's Day. Usually you get flowers or chocolates or all that, but I got the podcast kit. And then I think it was the day after they kind of shut everything down with sports and pretty much everything, actually. And I came downstairs in our condo in Arizona, and he had everything set out on the table.
Aww.
And he was like, you want to do this? Let's do this. No time like the present. We suddenly had a whole lot of free time. So we really kind of just hit record on the first one and didn't really have any expectations. I talked a little about the marathon and my experience with that and, just had a conversation. And it took me a couple weeks to post it. But when I did, I got really good response. And then through the weeks, I think we've done 14 episodes now. So starting to kind of get the hang of it and have a little better format, and it's going good. I think the thing I do look forward to the most is eventually being able to, sit down with guests. I think that's been kind of the challenge, is almost like saving people that I really want to have those conversations with in person. But so far, so good. And yeah, we're really enjoying it.
All right, for the guests that don't know watching, your husband is third baseman from the Dodgers, Justin Turner. And I have to say, I've known Justin for a long time. When I met both of you together at one of the charity events, you guys are so much alike in so many ways. You're both friendly, you're warm, and I love the fact that he got you a podcast kit for Valentine's Day because you have a background in acting, in sports yourself. So he knew what you really wanted.
Yeah, I think it's super thoughtful, and it just speaks to him. Obviously he does the flower thing and he does that a lot for me, and it's great. But I think he really dug deep and, maybe knew that I needed that push because, our lives do get so busy. And like I said, it's, if you want to wait to make time and say, oh, I'll do that, in a year, or maybe I'll do that, I'll get around to it. Like, you're really just putting kind of your dreams on hold. So I think he knew that maybe I needed that push to do something that, I really wanted to do.
And tell us what kind of conversations and what kind of topics you like to talk about on the podcast.
Well, obviously sports. There's a lot of baseball chat because I obviously have an expert that can sit with me every week and all that. I think really through the quarantine, it became centered a lot around charity and foundation and good things people are doing. I think a lot of people were kind of searching for good news and wanted to hear positive things and good things in the community because obviously there was just so much negative swirling around. So it kind of the first couple weeks I had people on from CHLA and people from the Dream Center and different people to just kind of tell their stories and their involvement. And the feedback on that was really great. You know, you're nervous. You're like, people are going to expect me to have, you know, wives on there and other baseball players on there. And that kind of became the angle. And so far, I really enjoy spreading that good news.
I think good news is so important too, because like you said, you can turn the TV on and you can get bad news pretty much 24/7. And maybe you do have to dig a little bit deeper to find those stories, but I've always felt like everybody has one, you know, everybody has a really good story and we don't hear enough of them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I love giving people that chance to tell their stories, and maybe, you know, listeners would find out something about someone that they didn't know and they can relate and they can say, oh my gosh, I didn't know, you know, maybe Justin's just like me. And they, you know, they feel a little bit closer to someone that they admire.
You know, talking about charity, you guys have a foundation. I know you've been involved with, even during the pandemic, the food bank. How do you sort of decide where to allocate your time?
Oh, it's all over. We try to really do as much as we can. And, you know, our foundation, the two main beneficiaries, we work with homeless veterans, and that's mostly done through the Dream Center. We have a men and a women's home there on their campus, a full treatment program that they can go through and, you know, make their way back into civilian life. And we also work a lot with Children's Hospital. So children going through the unthinkable. And I think, you know, people ask us all the time how we kind of came into those. And I think, you know, we obviously all know someone in the military. And I think through baseball, Justin was able to meet so many veterans or active military that just made such an impression on him. And, you know, we just feel so grateful being able to do what we're doing because of other people that have made sacrifice. So I think that's kind of how that came to be. And children, you meet so many kids. And there was a little boy, Luke, that Justin met in New York that just had such a lasting impression on him and I, and we've kind of just formed a bond with him. And through that, we realized, you know, the impact just a hospital visit or a toy drive or something can have on a family to really brighten them up. So those kind of become our two. And then through through COVID, we saw the need for meals and people that were struggling. And so the Dream Center set up their food drive. And so we went and called different local restaurants and placed orders so we could help the local businesses and also provide meals for people in need. So we obviously have our main causes that we focus on, but we are able to adapt when the need arises.
You know, interesting. One of the best stories I think I ever did with Justin is at Dodger Stadium in the second inning of games, they have the military person that they honor. And every single game I was noticing that I watched him walk over and hand them a baseball. And so I had asked John Suhu, who was the team photographer, I said, does he do that every single game? Because I'm noticing it. And John says, yeah, I have pictures from like every day. Yeah. So, you know, I went to Justin and I said, I want to do a story about this because it's so heartwarming. And just, you know, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this a million times, but just the reaction, I don't care if it's a child or an adult, when a player hands them a baseball and then on top of it, it's signed, that there's just that, I don't know, there's that feeling of, wow, you know, it's such a neat feeling. And I love the fact that he does it every single game.
Yeah, it's such a small gesture. And I think that's what he's realized through his years of playing is what a small thing, you know, people carry with them forever. You know, I'll have people come up to me, oh, your husband gave my son a ball 5 years ago. And people carry that with them. And so to Justin, it's, you know, it seems simple, you know, baseball and you just take a pen and sign it, but it's that memory in that moment that can really make an impact on someone's life and, you know, their day and, you know, everything overall. So I always look for it too. When I'm at the game, I always, right when they announce them, I peep down and see the handshake and the ball and then them go up to their seats. So that's definitely something we'll miss this year without people at the games. But yeah, it's something really special that I look forward to.
Me as well. And I want to talk a little bit about baseball later, but first of all, I want to kind of go back because you did something that I think is completely fascinating. I have lived here my whole life in California, but you got in your car and you drove out from Indiana, is that right?
Yeah.
To go to UCLA and you drove across the country. What was that experience like?
Oh man, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. And I think I look back and I'm like, I was brave. Like, I'm not that brave anymore. And you know, it was a bold move. I didn't really know anyone out here at all. And so, it was just such a big culture shock coming from Indiana, where you're kind of, you know everyone, and you know everyone since kindergarten. I think everyone from my high school was pretty much going to IU, Indiana, or Purdue. And so I was like, I really got to kind of break out of that, obviously like love my friends and all that, but I really needed a change. And so, yeah, it was, it was a lot, there was a lot of eating SpaghettiOs and $5 footlongs and all that to get by, but made it through and, and graduated, and I love it out here. I love going back home, but yeah, LA's been great.
So had you ever been here before? What was sort of the draw for you?
Yeah, I visited, I want to say once or twice. I don't know. There was just something about it. I've always, I grew up near Lake Michigan. I was always a beach girl. So I think, you just think West Coast. There's just something about California, especially in Indiana, in TV and movies, and I don't know, it just seems like the place you want to be. So it was far away from home, and yeah, it just seemed like a lot of opportunity, and worked out, I guess.
It sure did. That's for sure. Now, did you grow up, I have to ask you, did you grow up a Bears fan?
Bears fan, yes.
Cubs?
White Sox.
White Sox. Okay. And then a Bulls or?
Yeah, Bulls fan. White Sox, yeah. My dad worked in the steel mills, and so their family days were always at the White Sox games. So I just grew up loving the White Sox, Frank Thomas, and all of that. So yeah, it's fun to be at the playoff games against the Cubs are obviously very intense, but
yes, they are.
It means a little more when they can handle the Cubs to me.
It's very rare that we get to sit down with players' wives, and so fun to talk to somebody like Courtney, who is bringing so much positivity at a time when we really need it. And you will watch part 2 of my interview with Courtney on our next show. And the Dodgers are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act by returning to their 51st Dream Field. Now, this Dream Field is an accessible field so that kids with special needs can play too. Now, I was at the event that took place recently in Fontana. Here's more.
So today is the 30th anniversary of the American Disabilities Act, which obviously provided several rights and services. The Dodgers Foundation built our 51st Dodgers Dream Field here at Jack Bullock Park in the city of Fontana, and it was specifically designed for kids and families who are experiencing physical disabilities and who have special needs. So we couldn't think of a better place to be than today, right here in the Inland Empire, with our partners, the city of Fontana, and so many others, giving these families some opportunity and some resources during such a really tough time. You know what I always say at the Dodgers Foundation, that partnership is the secret sauce to our success. We don't do this alone. Our brand is a galvanizer. We are the hub of a lot of people, whether that be corporations, foundations, or nonprofits, coming together to do greater good for these communities. It's been a pleasure over the last few years to partner with Easter Seals of Southern California. Again, I think that we have a very similar mission in that we're both looking to provide access. And I think we find some intersection points just with that alone to provide opportunities to families.
Yes, we've been partnered with the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation for the past several years. In fact, we're partnered with them in the building of this fully accessible park, which is super special because today is the 30th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act, the landmark civil rights legislation that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. So today is a super fitting day to be here for this event. We have an opportunity to help families get some much needed food and other supplies. So it's fantastic. One of the things that Easter Seals believes is that everybody, particularly people with disabilities, have the right to live, learn, work, play in their communities. So in that spirit, having a fully accessible baseball park allows kids with disabilities to play with their peers because they can get out on the field and play baseball like anyone else, and it's great.
We all know that during this COVID, we still have to enlighten and enhance our families. And if they don't have the resources, it makes it even worse.
Right.
And to select these people that are part of our Special Olympics, our above limits, special needs, these are the families that we've got to put our arms around and tell them it's going to be okay. There is an end in sight, and we love you. The Dodgers, they never drop us. I know they're centered in LA, but just imagine you're coming way out here to the IE to help us out too. So that just shows they're everywhere, and that's why we love them.
Now, it takes many volunteers, as we know, to put an event like this together. The Los Angeles Dodgers want to make sure the volunteers stay safe, as well as the people coming through in the vehicles. So they've given out Purell to make sure they've got hand sanitizer. They've got masks for everybody in case they forgot one today. The alcohol wipes, they've got waters and gloves. So everything that they need to stay safe while they're participating in this very worthwhile event with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And while Major League Baseball is getting their season underway, the Lakers and Clippers are doing the same thing inside of the NBA bubble in Orlando. Now, we had a chance to catch up with the coaches and the players from both the Lakers and the Clippers. So here is what they had to say about playing basketball in the bubble.
I'm excited about getting going. I think anybody would be excited about going back to work. We've been out of work, not just athletes, but most of this country, with 3+ months. And so I think anybody would want to go back to work. I think, obviously, in our profession, we're working for something, hopefully, that results in something big for us. You talk to all your players during this break, and, it's funny. The one advantage, I think, or I don't know if it's an advantage, the one interesting thing that has come out of this, and I would probably say this is with every team, you tend to talk to your players now more than about basketball. When you're in the season, you kind of focus on, getting them ready, the plays, getting them in shape and all that. And even before the George Floyd thing happened, we were just having conversations with players, just talking to them about their families. Through the George Floyd thing, we got to get a lot deeper.
Into the restart. So that would be, we've had a lot of time just to sit and kind of think. And I know me personally, I've just thought a lot about, okay, what did I like that I was doing? What did I not like? What can I do better? What can I utilize more? A few stretches of games where I felt really good, and a couple stretches where it was not so much. So I think we've just had time to really think and break down our own games, watch film of other people. That's what I've been doing, trying to watch teams in the past, who have had championship expectations and try to see where I fit in those teams and how those guys were utilized and what they did to be effective. But the biggest thing, you just have a lot of downtime to watch film, study yourself, study each other, and try to take the pieces that you want to bring with you to the restart. And then the second question, with our chemistry, we've been great. We text all the time in our group chat, always talking, very open. It's nothing's really changed there. If anything, it's increased more. We've talked more, more active in our group chat, group text, Zoom calls, group FaceTimes, whatever it is. It's been great. We've stayed in touch.
Obviously, in the beginning, when the NBA first stopped, actually on my birthday, which is kind of a bummer because I couldn't do anything. But it was just trying to make sure everyone was safe. From the standpoint of, guys, wearing masks and kind of staying inside until the NBA kind of figured out what was really going on. And then from there, once they, officially, paused the season, then was more so for me, when do we start again? Like what's going to go on moving forward? Are we going to keep going? Is there going to be a return? Are we going to, are they going to cancel the season? And so for me, it was just kind of a lot of unknowns in the beginning. And then as of late, they kind of told us that we are going to start. So it's more, getting back prepared for Orlando, and just trying to stay in shape and stay healthy, kind of let your body recover at the same time. So it's been a crazy 3 months, I'm pretty sure for everybody. And now we kind of have an idea what's going to happen. Not too sure about everything that's going to happen in Orlando, but I think for the most part, we got a gist of it and, trying to move forward and stay safe as best as we can.
I think we're just all excited to be playing again. It doesn't matter where. Obviously, the bubble and the rules and the things that we've read and seen aren't the most exciting thing to be looking forward to. But at this point, I think we're ready for it. If you're not ready, I don't know what to tell you. But at this point, we're ready as we're possibly ever going to be in that type of atmosphere. But I think our team has an advantage because we have older guys, guys that like to be themselves, stay at home, have families, and have done the partying. We don't need to be out in the streets or get antsy. A lot of guys have been through that lifestyle, so we're easily, I think, ahead of the pack when it comes to guys that can sit still and sit at home and not have to worry about, being, on the scene or doing a bunch of stuff outside of the house. So hopefully that helps us to our advantage.
And in a few days, the NFL training camps will open, and we have some news to bring you, and that is there will be no preseason games this year for the NFL, and I can tell you that the players will be very happy about that. We'll be right back. And that will do it for today's show. Remember, you can watch Playing the Field 24/7 at playingthefieldtv.com. Now, you will notice that I'm wearing a mask. My cameraman Daniel is wearing one, and everybody here at Dodger Stadium is wearing a mask. And I want to invite you to wear one as well. We want you to stay healthy and well. I'm Maria Serrao. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at Angel Stadium. Until then, take care.